there's a time and a purpose and a place for these amazing devices.
I'm not convinced it should be totally banned, but I do like the idea of being able to separate the phone from the student in a place where they can see it and just not be able to use it during the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we see, well, I'm sorry, one thing I was thinking, because I've heard teachers mention it once in a while. See if there's, let the administrators and some of the teachers and charge them with putting together a little group in the school. I mean, kids, our students and the teachers can come to, some ideas for a policy, and they can probably put together something that'll be more effective in terms of day-to-day operations than what we'll come up with. Because as this article said, Chris, it's a great article you put here, and it shows us a lot of different things that are being tried. So I said, and I think it's, like you said, like the superintendent said, it's situational specific and school specific. Let the schools come up with, at least come to us with I'd like to see them come to us, give them in 2 months, come to us with a proposal.
But I also think the state's working on something. I don't know.
I
haven't heard anything, and I haven't heard anything else, but the state's working on something too.
We can do something though until there's that may not be mandatory. I think our schools, students and our teachers and our administrators can come up with the best policy that will work for North Smithfield. It may not be the best policy for another school, but we can come up with the best for us. Because again, as the superintendent said, I think the use and the time and the way to use it is very school specific, age specific, situational specific.
So why don't we next meeting, Claire just suggested this, why don't we bring our current policy up for discussion? Maybe we'll put in some notes. I like what you said about asking our teachers, our schools, and our students to work on this, because that's also part of the new legislation, is to move authority and power from the top down into the schools and to the principals and the teachers. And the students, I think, would have some, very strong opinions in this, and perhaps some very good ideas.
Austin, I would like to invite you back to the next school meeting. If you have some thoughts between now and then, talk to your friends. Come back. Tell us what you see, what you might have learned differently from the little bit of banter that went on today, and maybe lead to another merit badge.
Communication path. Perfect.
There we go.
Austin, we're going to put you to work for the rest of the year.
Austin, what grade are you in?
8th.
Thank you.
And if you have any questions, just swing by my office. All right? Okay. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I have some knowledge in this area, and I know this from the profession that cell phones do cause anxiety. And I don't want to be quoted on this, but it might be the number one thing that causes anxiety in kids. It also causes learning disabilities. And the reason why it causes learning disabilities is because when you have instant gratification, you have excitement on a phone, and it's constantly there. When you get in a classroom, you can't focus. I mean, I don't want to say it's boring, but to them, in that mind frame, it's boring, and they can't relate to it. So it's a problem. And I have no idea how to fix it. But I think that we definitely need a cell phone policy. I think that, thank you for bringing this up. And I think that we need to take this very, very seriously.
And don't take this the wrong way, but as you were talking to me, I'm thinking about, I haven't checked my Instagram in a while. Right. And I was feeling the reach to go over and check the Instagram. I was listening to you. But there is that powerful draw of the cell phone.
Exactly, because you viewed me as being boring.
I told you didn't need to take. I don't want to take it all away. It's okay.
Proves my point here.
Yeah, I just want to add to tackle what you said. I've been clamoring about this too. I think one of the issues about cell phone, by the way, I do think, as the superintendent said, it's a great tool, and it can be used in the schools occasionally. But it also can be a tool used for really insidious bullying. And the kind that we don't see, you know, and I hear that goes, you know, I don't think we're too bad for it, but, you know, we don't really see it because the nature of it, cyberspace. So I think, but I also think that the students in particular are the ones who can tell us best how to address it. With some guidance, of course. I mean, we have to be the adults in the room, but the kids give us a lot of insight that we don't have.
Absolutely.
All right, does anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay.
So I would only just add one thing, which is, I'm not sure where we are on either side of this. I mean, my daughter was the one that texted me when there was no oil in high school yesterday, so she obviously had no problem doing that during the day. We stopped even surveying on SurveyWorks, how many times do you text a day? Because it was a pointless question. There were very few kids who said 0. And most of them were saying 20 or more. So why would you waste your question on that? We did get to things like cybercrime, right? But for me, the biggest question is this technology is not going away. Only other things are going to take its place. So if we decide to come down on a policy that is not addressing technology and where technology is going, then we're not solving it, because something bigger and better is just going to come up, and it's going to trump the cell phones, and it's going to make the cell phones look like it was the easy thing. So I just want us to caution this.
It's the Google chip in the base of the brain.
It is.
All right. Well, thank you. We look forward to the report next month.
Thank you.
Thank you guys
Thank
very
you.
much.
So Superintendent, we'll move to all of your reports.
And I promise to go as rapidly as possible. So by state law, schools have to report out the number of bullying incidences per semester. So let me just explain the numbers here. So we have the reported and verified incidences of bullying at our 3 schools. And you'll probably think, oh, that number looks too low, right? Remember, this is reported and verified. Now, we do have a process and a form that we go through that, yes, things happen every day at our schools, but they're not necessarily falling under the definition of bullying, which is generally repeated behavior, often not a single incident between the offenders and the victim. So it's not kids just being mean to each other or calling somebody a name. It's pervasive, it's aggressive. So I just want to be cautious on the word bullying, because to be honest, not to diminish it, it is used very widely in a lot of different situations. All right, so we're looking at the actual definition. But not to diminish the fact that, we have students who have issues because, before I get into the next section, I mean, here is some of the frustration with this. And I think I've shared this thought with a couple of people, and that we have a very mean society. And we're not talking kids, we're talking adults. Whether it's our elected officers, demeaning each other on Twitter, whether they're turning on the TV and they're watching, maybe some inappropriate drama or violence or fighting, there is this pervasiveness through society. And our kids aren't immune to that. Our adults aren't immune to that. What we can do, though, is create the schools as a safe place for everyone where that type of behavior isn't tolerated. But more than just not tolerated, it's also giving the students, the children, the tools to de-escalate, to mediate, to find alternate solutions as opposed to just being mean to each other. So we put together a list of these initiatives that we have going throughout the district that addresses behavior and social emotional well-being. from district-wide initiatives with our partnership with New England Base Camp, where every teacher is getting a full year, a series of social, emotional standards, practical instructional strategies within their content areas, and it's basically to help children and adults understand and manage emotions, set positive goals, and feel and show empathy for others, and maintain positive relationships. So our teachers are going through a whole series and to help them encourage this in the classroom with their children, regardless of at an age-appropriate level. Now, within each school, there are also age-appropriate initiatives in place, running from recognition of students for excellence, High Five Fridays, where the fire department is high-fiving the kids as they come into the school. Getting to Know You Cafe, this is all at NSES, where you get to have lunch with the principal and assistant principal in a casual conversation. Open Circle, this is another training our teachers have gone through and how to assist students dealing with their emotions, managing it, bringing themselves down, and having positive relationships with each other. Counselor's Choice is a program that our school counselors follow, which also is about conflict resolution. There's weekly service meetings. We have, we're using the Start With Hello. This is part of the Sandy Hook, the Sandy Hook Initiative. And so daily kindness messages. So I mean, there are a lot of things to create this very positive, supporting environment and model the behavior for the students. The middle school has many of the same initiatives, but at a higher level and appropriate for the kids. But the one I wanted to highlight here is the health unit on bullying, but it's not just, the message of being nice to everybody. It's, what do you do if you're a bystander? How do you respond? So it's empowering, it's a community empowerment for this. Our SROs are very involved with the students. They're forming relationships and friendships. They're doing presentations. Our counselors are meeting with the kids on a regular basis. There's monitoring of students, and we have social workers and psychologists, and yes, we do have students who have real emotional problems, anxiety problems. We have students that have experienced trauma. We have students that have come from the very darkest places that you can imagine. And our job is to help them, form these positive relationships. So all I can say about this is that we're not in denial that that bullying isn't happening, but what we are creating is a good, positive place to model behavior and a safe place for students. And yes, sometimes they fall away from the path, but we have a lot of hands, a lot of people there to catch them and help them, move forward in the right direction. And I had that up on the screen while I was talking. And this also goes into our strategic plan. Is we have one of our core pillars is safe and supportive schools, and our goal is to promote activities to engage and energize students, to make them feel safe and happy, to give them appropriate health and mental health and emotional supports. And we're working towards this. We're always working towards this, and we're always providing services and trying to find new ones and ways to improve. In fact, Claire, you mentioned, New England Base Camp, which this year is social emotional. Next year, we have another series for our teachers.
Our plan is to, and it's grant funded, so assuming that everything goes through, but our plan is to have a 3-part series similar to what we did with New England Base Camp this year on social emotional learning, and it's based on a book, and it's a book study that we want to do as a whole district called Culturally Responsive Teaching in the Brain. And we had a professional learning community of a small group of teachers that did it this year. We found that it was a very powerful book. The Professional Development Advisory Committee thought it might be something that the entire district could read and just talk about some issues and strategies and ways that we can make our schools supportive and safe and a learning environment that students can succeed. So we're working on that, developing it for next year.
Anybody have any questions?
Sounds good.
Yeah, of course.
No, I actually would just like to say something.
Sure.
From everything that you have shown us up there, there is a lot that's being done within schools. However, I personally think that there are still problems, and I think that we're naive if we think there are not. But I'm not sure that bullying is the right word. I think that maybe it's a lack of respect, a lack of empathy, a lack of understanding, a lack of kindness, even though we're doing so much with kindness, and a lack of inclusion for everybody. And I think that whatever the right word is, it's an issue that can't be solved only through the schools. So I think that somehow we have to involve the parents and maybe do more workshops and things like that.
Well, and that's one of the images I
Yes.
put up there is a parent workshop.
Absolutely, and I
So,
think
and that, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and I'm glad you say that because I just this word bullying, this umbrella, is just so narrow. It's used so widely, but it's really a focus thing. But there are so many other things that our kids are dealing with. That's why I'd like to make the conversation bigger than that, and it's all over, social emotional health.
And so I think we do have to reach out to parents, we have to reach out to the community perhaps, and just, make this an issue. And I know that there are workshops ongoing, and I'm on the wellness committee, and I think that's going to be, one of our issues as well this year. So good things will
Nice,
happen.
thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
No, just that survey wants to help you,
No, it absolutely will.
because there's a lot of questions that aren't bullying, right? But there are a lot of questions around respect, around inclusion. We asked additional questions to the teacher survey around teaching different kinds of students, because there's a different comfort level depending on the kind of students are. And you've got a lot of good baseline data going back to 2017. So.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, facilities update.